Hey, everybody, it is Tim Gillette, and we're back with another episode of the Tim Gillette Show. Today's guest, I don't know this person, all right, but they found me, all right. They've got a very interesting story from looking at their website. This girl, Denise, literally, this is what I do this show is I really get to find and meet people while interviewing them live on the air. And today's guest is no different. Denise found our stuff, put her stuff in, and she looked like a great person that I really want to interview and get to know. And she's got some great programs, some things going on that really need to be highlighted and need to be told. So we thought we'd bring her on the show, interview her, and get to know her live on the air. So let me bring Denise up here. Hello, Denise.
Hello, Tim and your audience. I'm so excited to be here today and share this important message.
So I'm just curious how you found us. I mean, really, I don't know you, and I try to trace back because it's been a few weeks.
I believe I found you through the podcasting group.
Oh, yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah, I get a lot of people from there because really that is one awesome group, or basically the people who don't have podcasts can say, hey, I want to be on a podcast. And there's people like me who don't care. I just want guests. And they got to have an interesting story. They've got to have an interesting product and an interesting way they help people, which you do. Mm-hmm. So, and I looked up your stuff just a little bit, and I got to ask, okay, where did this whole line of work come from, Denise?
My past relationships, my history in relationships, specifically my 22-year marriage to the father of my 2 children. That's really like the core of where it all came from. Coming out of a narcissistic, abusive relationship, like I said, 22 years with him, coming out of that, moving 3 states away with nothing but a futon couch and an air mattress, and starting my life all over again in my 40s. Mm-hmm. And the journey that came after that, and leading me to meeting the man of my dreams, marrying him, and now having a happily ever after ending to my love story.
Cool. So how many kids do you guys have?
2.
2 kids? Okay, yeah. I only had 1 from my first marriage. My wife had 2 from her first marriage. And now we have a very interesting blended family. All right. Do you guys have the blended family thing going on too, or no? No. Okay. You didn't, wait a minute. You didn't go after the boy toy, did you?
No.
Okay, yeah. Because you've heard that of women in their 40s, they go find the boy toy. Yeah, anyway. Trust me, guys in their 40s go for the girl toy. I'm just saying.
Well, that could be it, because my husband is older than me. So with my second husband, my husband now, yeah, he has 2 children from his first marriage. I have my 2 children from my first marriage. But I thought you were referring to my first marriage where we had no children, and then had children together.
No. My third wife, I had to do it more than once. All right, I screwed up.
Are you a slow learner?
Yeah, I'm a slow learner. All right. My wife is too. It's her third marriage as well. But we both brought a bunch of baggage and crap from our past and had to heal through it. And I get that you're probably helping a lot of couples, or are you mainly working with women in solving this problem now?
Yes. My ideal client is a woman who's divorced from a narcissist. Mm-hmm. And or several marriages, repeated relationships that keep showing up. And she's in the dating world, and she is finding like, oh crap, I keep attracting somebody like my ex-husband, and that's not what I want. So she wants to fix whatever's going on to break that cycle so that she can experience what a healthy relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, but I'm glad that you work with women. All right. And I said, we've got to actually narrow down where we're good at working it. But I've found that as a guy, I did the same thing. All right. I went after women who were like the woman. I just wait a minute, that didn't work. Why am I doing that again? Yeah. So I guess that's a human trait, not just a man or a woman trait.
Absolutely, Tim. Yes. And I do coach men when men come to me. But generally I speak to women because that was my experience. Right.
You are more experienced into it. That would make sense.
Yeah. But I do have men clients.
Well, still, there's I got to say, for us men, all right, some of us aren't smart enough to go, hey, let's get help. We just want to screw it up a third time. But, I get it where some men probably aren't comfortable coming, and the ones that
Yes.
are, I'm sure you're overjoyed to help. Go, yeah, I want to help you too. I don't want anyone to go through this mess again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
um, well, how how is it that you see like all the clients that you do? Do you see a lot of the ones that are coming to you though? Um, have they like just broken up with the husband, or like they wait 2 years, or after they get stuck into 4 bad relationships? When is the point when they start calling you and going, you know what, I need to get help?
That's a really interesting question. I actually get a mixture of all of what you just described. So
Mhm.
I do get women who come to me who have not yet told their spouse that they're going to divorce
Wow.
them. And I help them with the emotions of going through a divorce. Because as you know, it's very emotional. That process is very
It is.
emotional. And you
It is.
need that support, especially if somebody is divorcing a narcissist. The manipulation and the control only gets worse
Yeah.
when they're losing control and manipulating the manipulating person that they've been manipulating the
Mhm,
person,
mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have had clients who have come to me that haven't yet told their significant other. I have had clients who just came out of the divorce and they're like, okay, I already see what I did, because maybe it wasn't the first one, maybe it was the second divorce. And they're like, all right, I need help in this area so that I can move on and not recreate another relationship like that. And then I do have women who have been out of it for a couple of years. Actually, one of my new clients, she's been single for 10 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, I get a mixture of all of them. To answer your question, yeah, it just depends on the woman and where she's at, or the man where he or she is at, and
Mhm.
where what they see in their relationship status, and where they want to because it is like an ego thing, like admitting like, I'm not good at this relationship stuff, like I kind of suck at it. So reaching out for help, because you're right, Tim. Like, men, you guys are so awesome, but you're just not like emotionally connected to like women are, right? You're not so, because you're
Oh,
men,
we get
right?
emotionally connected right about the time the woman dumps us. I'm just saying, there's an emotional connection then.
Yeah, you're just not so women are more susceptible to reach out quickly
Mhm,
than men
mhm.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think back on my first divorce and, everything I went through into it. Yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster for me, but I knew months beforehand it was ending. Like I
Right.
figured it out, like, I should have figured it out years ahead, after about the third affair. I waited till about the 12th to figure it
Right.
out. But anyway,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was the same thing. Now, I don't hate that person. All right. As a matter of fact, I have a daughter with her, and I've actually in our post divorce time have actually reached out and helped her in many areas when she was stuck. All right. Now that my wife and I, we're very blessed. So like, we've helped both of our ex spouses out who are
Oh,
the
that says a
parents of
lot
our
about
kids,
you.
because they're the parents of our kids, and
Right.
that I assume comes into some of the stuff you help is the parents of children.
Yes. So yeah, with narcissistic abuse, there is such thing as called parent alienation,
Mhm,
where
mhm.
the narcissist uses the children or the child as a tool
Oh my
to
gosh.
alienate the other parent. Like, I'm going to take the one thing that I know that you would do anything, you love more than anything, you do anything for, and take that child away, whether that be through child custody or even just, harboring them, whatever. So I help the parent who's not the narcissist, right? Because you can't help a narcissist. They don't know that there's even a problem here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
everybody else's problem. They blame everybody.
yeah.
So I help the other parent who's not who's the victim of the narcissist, to work through this parent alienation so that they can have a relationship with their child, because
Mhm.
it's a tough subject.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I've seen kids where, um, you know, they get into adulthood and then find all this stuff out that their father or their mother was trying to do for them, and realize
Right.
that the parent who was doing the whole separating deal was trying to yeah, daddy or mommy's, mean. They don't want to ever talk to you again. And the
Right.
truth is mommy and daddy have been reaching out the whole time,
Right.
and they've been just, you've been kept away. So,
Right.
and
Yes.
that's not good either. So,
No. That's terrible.
yeah. Um, well, do you then have connections to help the kids then go through that? All right. Do you go into, "Oh, okay, let me help you, but let me get someone to help your children because this can mess their world up even and carry this on more."
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I do is I have them understand this whole process because I went through parent alienation myself with
Okay.
my ex. When I left Florida, my home state, and came here to North Carolina when I was leaving the relationship, he did this with our son.
Mhm.
So our daughter came with me, and then our son stayed there, and he did the whole parent alienation. And I think it was about 3 years that my son and I had no relationship.
Wow.
And the very maybe handful of times that my son did call me, because I was reaching out to him all the time, that we did speak, he was cursing me out. He was very angry and hanging up on me. So then, as he got older, because like you said, Tim, we all get older and
Yep.
we
Yep.
start to put the pieces of the puzzle together and realize, like, wait a minute. And that's when that happened for my son. And he started to come around and he started to call. And now we have a very close relationship. So
Mhm. Mhm.
when parents have a child who's been brainwashed by the
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
parent, that you're the bad one, you're the this, you're the that, and then they start to come around because maybe there's a part of them that believes that there has to be um, strong boundaries in this relationship with your child. And that's what I had to do with my son, was put down the boundaries, which I had always put down boundaries, and let him know, like, you want to have a relationship with me, that's great, you're my child, I love you, I will do anything for you, and you're going to respect me.
Yeah.
You're going to talk, we're going to talk things out. If you don't agree with something or you want to bring something up, we're going to talk it out.
Yeah.
It's worked. And so I do help when women or men come to me and they need help with having a relationship with their child who's been alienated by the other parent. I help them as well to work through that. It's a
Cool.
tough, because this is your kid. That's a totally different love
Yeah.
that you have with your child than you do your significant other, or you did for your ex. It's
Yeah.
completely different.
So now, in my case, Denise, my daughter was, gosh, almost 18 years old. She was 16 or 17 years old, and she got very angry at her mom one day, and she'd spent her whole time around her mom, and her mom had put a lot of things in her mind. She calls me up and she goes, "Daddy, mommy's a bitch." And I'm like, "You will not." I mean, I jumped. "You will not talk about your mother that way."
Right.
And she's like, "But, she said, I says, I don't care what she says. I am your
Mhm.
father, and I won't allow you to talk about your mother that way."
Mhm.
"Well, you think it." "No, I'm not telling you whether I think it or not. That is your mother. You will
Mhm.
not get another mother, and you will not talk about her like that in my
Mhm.
presence."
Mhm.
My daughter said that was the day she gained the most respect for me, because she realized I would not let my daughter talk bad about her mother, no
Right.
matter how bad her mother treated me. And my daughter knew what, she was figuring it out. She's like,
Right.
"Wait a minute, daddy's not going to tell us." And I was like, "I will not." You know what I mean? And that I got that from my father. I
Right.
off the handle got mad at my mom one time and voiced it. And, my dad damn near backhanded me into into my birthday. But anyway, that's, to me, that's respect. That's, what I mean? We
Mhm.
teach our kids respect
Mhm.
towards the other parent. And the loving parent is going to do that. Right.
Yeah.
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 I'm sure you find so.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about your journey. Like, you left Florida to go to the Carolinas. Now, did you grow up in Florida the whole
Yep.
time, or
My
so
entire
you
life.
literally had to change your whole state?
Yep.
Well,
Yep. So it was 2011. So there's two times. The first time was in 2011, when after 22 years I finally had, like, enough
mhm, mhm,
and realized, like, this is only getting worse minute by minute. I need to do something. So I created a plan, and that led to me leaving with the futon couch and the air mattress, because I didn't want anything. I didn't want to ask him for anything. I didn't want to go to court and say, you owe me this, you owe me that. I was like, I want a clean slate. I just want to leave.
mhm,
I did manifest $10,000 because at that time, Tim, I was running his business
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a career. I didn't have an inheritance I could dip into. I literally had to do this all on my own. I'm not the type of person who asks for handouts. So I didn't go to family members and say, hey, this is what's going on. Plus, leaving an abusive relationship, at that point, it's very humiliating and embarrassing. So I did that in 2011. And our daughter and I were here for about 3 months, and then the hoovering started. So narcissists, they hoover, they come back around, and they paint this really, really great picture that if we get back together, everything's going to be okay, and we're never going to go through that again. And by the way, we have over 20 years together. Like, we're not going to throw that away, are we? We have 2 children, the whole story. So at that time, because these relationships are very codependent. And for years and years and years, I was very dependent on him financially.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am in my 40s, 3 states away from my entire family and all my friends. And I got scared. And it really sounded good, right? Come back. We'll try. We'll do this. We'll do that. So I packed up everything and went back to Florida. All the work that I did to get here to North Carolina. So that was 2000. Yeah, that was the end of 2011. And Tim, let's get back together. Lasts about 5 minutes, maybe. Maybe.
Wow, you got 5 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. So after that, I realized, oh my God, what did I do? So what I did was I basically did everything that I just did and did it again. So that I needed 8 months to do that, and then came back here to North Carolina in 2012, and that's when I've never looked back. So 2022 marks 10 years of me going no contact with my ex and rebuilding my life, starting all over again, healing myself, going through all of the process. And if I could describe to you what my life was then compared to what my life is now, it's indescribable. Like, it's completely different. So I went from being in an abusive relationship where I was constantly manipulated, controlled, always putting out fires, trying to save my ex because he had addictions and mental illness and all of that, to now being in a healthy relationship, traveling, no drama, no traumas in my life. Like, I'm surrounded by all healthy relationships. It's completely different.
Well, and another thing that usually happens in these cases, all right, and it happened in our case, is the parents, the in-laws, all right, or the outlaws, all right. Do you have any problems with that along the way?
Yeah, I wrote about them in my book.
They got a special chapter in the book.
They did because, oh my gosh, so toxic. The family's so toxic. So not every single person in the family, but yes. So first of all, there's 2 cultures. My ex's family is from a different country, Latin America. And so they came from a completely different whatever. They do things differently. So because I'm American, they immediately didn't like me because I wasn't of their culture.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then there was a language barrier. So I was never close to them. And even my ex-husband, like, I remember one year, just randomly, he was barbecuing, down in Florida. That's what we do for dinner every night. We barbecue. And he was barbecuing. And I remember I came out to bring a plate, and he was like, I don't want to go to my parents this year for Christmas. I was like, that's random. Where'd that come from? He's like, I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to go there. So even he could recognize, like, the toxicity that they have, and being around them, like, brings your vibration low, your frequency low. So yeah, there's no close relationship there, Tim. There's none.
Yeah. Same thing. All right. First wife. All right. I mean, when we were together, I was always sweet and kind to them, but boy, they till this day tell my daughter how much of a loser I am. I'm like, my daughter, she's learned wisdom over the years. She just keeps her mouth shut now, right? But she says like she sees it all the time, and it's like they have no idea that my father is like 3 times richer than my mother, and much better off for the fact that he left. He finally gave
Yeah.
up and left,
Yeah.
type deal. But it's interesting how that toxicity, you know what I mean, comes down from parents sometimes into
Mm.
the child.
Always. Yes. Yeah. And what you were just mentioning, what came to my mind was stability always stands true. So being the stable parent, like you said, through time, the child will see
Mhm.
who's been lying, who
Yeah.
hasn't been, who's been the steady one, who's been unstable, right? Whether that was through, like in my situation, drug addictions, mental illness, you name it,
Mhm, mhm.
unstable, where I was, I'm not perfect, but I was the stable parent, um, always provided and was, as far as I know, mentally stable.
Well, let me ask this. I mean, because you and I know you're 10 years out from yours. I'm 20 some years out from my first one. All right. And we see that, oh my gosh, this is what happens down the road. There's no fear in us. But that new customer, their new client that just comes to you, they they can't see 5 feet in front of their face right now. How do you walk them through that?
Well, first I listen to them and I have empathy and compassion for them because I've been there, so I know how they're feeling, and I know it's super scary, and especially when it's coming to about your kids, it's you the fear of losing my child, a relationship with my child is like it's the end of the world, right?
Mhm.
So I first do that to have them feel very seen and heard and get them in that space energetically so that they start to calm down and feel, okay, I'm in a safe place. I'm being seen, I'm being heard. And then I walk them through like not only my journey, but the journey of my other clients who have come through these tough situations so that they start to see, okay, I'm not alone. This
Mhm.
is doable. I can do this, right? Because I reiterate to my clients, like, if I can do this, you can do this. We're no different from each other. In fact, the only difference between you and I is that I am the future version of you and
Wow.
you are the past version of me.
Yeah.
That's the only difference. We're the same. We've gone through the same thing and I've come out of it. So can you. So when I start to navigate that for them, starting from the beginning and having a safe space for them to be vulnerable and cry and feel understood and walk them through that, that helps them a lot to be like, okay, I can do this and see past, like you said, the 5 feet in front of them.
Yeah. And I noticed you brought up the word there, safe place, because that has got to be, at that moment in time, there is nothing feeling like the world is unsafe at that point.
Yep.
All right.
Opposite of
And
fear.
especially having someone that's it's as narcissistic and abusive to you. All right.
Right.
You need safe place to
Right.
know that, okay, I'm
Exactly.
okay, because they've probably spent 5 years, 10 years, 20 years where they
Yep.
couldn't be in a safe place.
Right.
For the first time in their life,
Constantly.
they get that, right?
Yes. Yes. Constantly in a fight or flight motion,
Mhm.
always putting out fires, always thinking, on the edge and what do I got to do? And never feeling relaxed, never feeling safe. And that's the number one thing that women tell me that they want is they want to feel safe in a relationship.
Mm.
So I have a relationship with my clients. And even if I'm on a call with them in the beginning and they don't turn out to be my client, I still provide that safe space for them so that they can experience what it feels like to be vulnerable with somebody who's not criticizing them, belittling them, judging them, just there for them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that they feel safe. And that's really important.
Well, I mean, to me, like I said, that's for the first time in their life. They're actually trying to find someone to be safe with. All right, because they've been in that. Um, is it hard at that point in time to try to paint the picture of what it's going to come? All right, because you're at that point in time, you're just trying to get them safe. But someone like me who wants to know, I want to know 20 feet in front of me what's going to happen. How hard is it to paint that picture for the new client going, listen, let me tell you 5 years, 10 years from now? Or is that something that waits?
Well, for me, I don't feel like it's hard. I just go through the process. I feel the energy between the person and myself, and I just go with whatever is coming up in my head to share with them, and it
Mhm.
always works out. And I wouldn't describe it as it's hard to get them to see. I just walk through it with them, and hold their hand while I'm doing this, energetically, and I don't think it's hard at all. I think like obviously depending on the person, obviously there's some
But
people
like
that
I remember going back in my mind, Denise, to where I was at that point. I didn't believe that that was out there. I mean, come on, based on what I'd lived, I didn't
right,
believe you could have tried to sell that picture to me. I
right,
wouldn't have believed you
right,
because of what I'd just been through. To me, I like that's all I ever knew and thought that love was.
right.
So
Yeah.
now I can't imagine, and I'm a much more stronger person than some women I know. All right.
Mhm.
I can't imagine them trying to being in the same things where they couldn't. You don't know better. All right. And someone's trying to paint this picture. It's good. It's like, no, it's never been that way. How can it be?
Well, one of the things that I do on our initial call is I help them see and put the pieces of the puzzle together,
Mhm.
because that's what life is, right? Life is a puzzle, and we're
Mhm.
trying to figure out and navigate our way through this life. So I help them see that, and no shame and no blame on
Mhm.
anybody. This is just how it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The way that she's been showing up energetically in life, and the reason why she's been attracting these types of people in her life.
Mm.
And when I explain that, it's like a light bulb goes off for them, and they're like, oh. And then I share, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's
Mhm.
nothing damaged about you. There's nothing broken inside of you. This is simply just a shift of energy. So
Mhm.
when you can shift from where you're at to what I'm going to show you, then you're no longer going to attract these types of people in your life,
Okay. Okay.
because you're in a different energy, you're in a different space. And so that's what I mean by I help them, like put the pieces of the puzzle together. It all makes sense. And they're like, okay. And it's doable,
Mhm.
100%. So if I was to give examples, I have more examples than myself, right? My clients, testimonies, and things like that to help them see like they did it, you did it, so can I.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, and it made me think of like basically some of your what you're explaining there is I'm guessing some of your studies then are in laws of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured that by the
That
sound of yeah.
that and it's also it's psychology work. It's the work of how we energetically show up in life. So the work that I do comes from Dr. David Hawkins. Have you
Okay.
ever heard of
Yeah,
him?
I have heard of him. Yep.
Okay, the map of consciousness.
Mhm.
Okay, that's where it stems from, the map of consciousness. So the lower levels of emotions that we have, and I split it up, and then I show them like when you're in these lower levels of emotions, you can climb up. Once you heal these, you can climb up into the higher levels of emotion.
Mhm.
And while you're healing, you're peeling, shedding, and healing back these layers, and specifically towards narcissistic abuse, so that you never attract a narcissistic abuse in your life again.
Mhm.
So that's where the work stems from, is Dr. David Hawkins and the map of consciousness.
Cool. So, I mean, is that and did you with that education as well as laws of attraction, did you go through a ton of education to figure yourself out and then transitioned it and went, now let me help other people? Or was it from the beginning? I know I'm just going to go help other people with this because I've been through it.
That's a great question. So, no. When I first moved here to North Carolina from Florida, like I said, I was running his business. So when I came here, I had to get a job
Mhm.
because I had to support myself, right? So I went and got a job in what I knew, which was medical sales.
Mhm.
So I was doing medical sales, and the whole 9 to 5, 1 hour lunch, listen to the boss, be on these dumb, stupid meetings that every week, useless waste of time.
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be something out there better for me than this. And I wanted my own business, but I didn't want the same business that that my ex had, because that was his, not mine.
Yeah.
So um it came to a point where what I was putting out there was coming back to me. So, long story short, this gorgeous blonde business coach shows up on my feed and she's like, "Hey, I can show you how to create an online business in 7 days. Put your name and your email address here and it's free." And I was like, "Yes,
You gotta love
free,
marketing. I'm a marketing guy. Gotta love
free.
marketing.
I love it." So I signed up, and bonus, you get a free coaching call at the end of your 7 days. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, score. So I do all of that, and I get on the coaching call, which was not free, by the way. 10,000 plus dollars later, I got into this program and learned how to create an online audience.
Mhm.
So it was
Mhm.
through that process that I learned like what coaches did. I had no idea, like besides a football coach and a basketball coach, I didn't know there was a coach for you name it, anything you need.
Mhm.
Um, so that was the journey of me being in that 1 year program, learning about coaches. Oh, there's divorce coaches. Oh, then I thought maybe that's what I am, a
Yeah.
divorce coach. But it really wasn't until I wrote a chapter in a book called A New Day Dawns,
Mhm.
Breaking Up with Abuse. And in
Okay.
that chapter, I wrote a little bit about my story because it was just one chapter. And that's when like I had the V8 hit me upside the head and was like, "Oh, that's what I'm supposed to talk about. Narcissistic abuse."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I call it the silent abuse, right? Because there's no crime involved in this abuse. So it's through that chapter of writing in that book that I, was very niched down to what and who I'm supposed to be talking to about, and that's what was created. So that's how I am here as
Mhm.
a transformational love coach.
And it's interesting that you said that, you know what I mean, coaches, football and stuff like that. I don't know if you know my story. I used to wash Zig Ziglar's car. And when Zig said to me, "Tim, you should be a coach," I mean, like I said to him literally, "You mean like the football team at church, Zig?" I did not know what he meant.
Yeah. He's another great one, Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, very fortunate that I had him in my life, but luckily, he had kind of retired by the time that I decided to act on what he told me.
Right.
And I didn't know what I was doing. So I started writing a blog and then got tricked into doing a radio show podcast. And like my whole thing is content marketing right now. But I fell into it because of the fact
Mhm.
I didn't know what to do, but I knew how to write. So I'll just write a blog post every week, right? Or every
Right.
day. And I fell into it. And then like you fell in by searching, right? And that's what I
Mhm.
did is by searching, I found out what I became good at, and I wrote a blog for probably 2 years before I ever considered becoming a blog coach,
Right.
right? And it wasn't until a gentleman in my life, a hotel entrepreneur, Larry Broughton, said to me, he says, "Tim, what is it that you get asked to speak about?" And I said, "Blogging and branding." And he said, "Tim, take everything else out of your wheelhouse. That's what you do." Oh, okay.
Mhm.
But it's funny that most people, they won't tap into a mentor or a coach like you did to find that, right? And
Yeah.
and when it comes to the relationship in their life, they've got to tap into you to get past this crap. But
Mhm.
imagine waking up to realize, well, I found a coach to help me get better at relationships. What if I find a coach that helps me find my ideal job now that I don't have that man in my life?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I see you got a great place to open tons of doors for people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that's it. That's our whole world is opening doors. And I say all the time, you know what I mean? I may not be the coach you need right now, but tell me what you need. Oh, you have a relationship problem? Let me connect you to Denise, right?
Right.
That's the whole
Mhm.
purpose of what we do
Yes.
when we get in that realm is we're in the business of helping people. All
Yep.
right. We just happen to get paid doing it. So
Yep. Yeah.
sorry, throat. I'm surviving this. I really am. So, so some other interesting things that you brought up through the conversation here is, you know what I mean? You've got like some online training and stuff like that. Do you have, stuff coming up, like, some trainings coming up
I
or
do.
programs that you got coming up in the near future that you want to tell the guests about?
I do. So, the number one thing that women and men tell me that they struggle with after being in these types of relationships, Tim, and like you were speaking of, having affairs, right? Your spouse having affairs is trust.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself. I hear women say, I don't trust myself to even go and date because I've screwed up so many times. I don't trust that I'm going to pick, a good partner. I don't trust men, or I don't trust women, right? There's this lack of trust. So what I have is a 3-day challenge called the Trust Again Challenge, how to trust again. Never ignore a red flag again. And this is a topic that I love to share about because I have, some real life examples of how we learned, this is a learned behavior, how we learned how not to trust, and how we can unlearn that behavior to start to trust ourselves again. And when we trust ourselves again, that's all we need to do, because then we will trust ourselves to know if we can trust the person across from us. Right?
Yeah.
So it starts January 31st. It's 3 days. And in this 3-day challenge, everybody who attends will get a mini training followed by a meditation that will support them in their next level of healing their heart to trust again. Cool. So yeah, that's January 31st through February 2nd.
Okay. And do you repeat that several times a year, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I try to do either like a masterclass or a challenge or something every month.
Okay, cool. So then, you'll put, I'm sure you'll put a link in the comments, and then later remind everybody where they can get to it. If they missed this one, where they can get to the next one.
Okay. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I find your story interesting. I find a lot of the stuff interesting that you do. And one of the requirements to be on the show is you've got to have a website. So what is the best website that people can reach out and find more about you?
So my website is trueloveaftertoxiclove.com. It's still being rebranded because when I got married in 2020, everything from my divorced last name needed to shift and change.
Yeah.
The contact information is still there. It tells you a little bit about myself, but yeah, that's the best way. True Love After Toxic Love, and hit one of the contacts and get in touch with me that way. And then they will communicate, and I can either send them the link for the challenge or I briefly looked at, I thought you had a sign up spot for them to you put your email and stuff in to get that information, don't you? In there, and opt in. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yes.
Well, I do appreciate you being on the broadcast, sharing quite a bit of information. Trust me, it's a lot of information you shared today.
Good.
Before you go, though, I've got to play a game with you. I play with all of my guests.
Cool.
All right. I've got 7 envelopes here with questions into them that are this or that. I want you to pick 3 of them, 1 through 7.
765.
7, 6, 5. These ones here, you're not going to find out what's in them. I love playing this game because now the way I do this, I don't know what questions you're going to get. You may get the man questions.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Envelope number 7, question number 1, boxers or briefs?
Oh.
I said you could get the man questions. This doesn't mean you wear them. It could mean you like them, okay?
I like them. Briefs.
Briefs. Okay. Question number 2, Coke or Pepsi?
Ugh, neither.
Neither? You're not a soda drinker?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I'm a Dr. Pepper guy now. I live in Texas.
Yeah.
Question number 3, hotel or camping?
Ooh, we have a camper.
You have a camper?
Yeah, we have a camper down at the beach.
Isn't that called glamping?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It has smart TV. Yeah, indoor plumbing. Yeah.
So an actor or friend of mine, she has a ranch down in Austin, and her and her husband put on a camper trailer as their guest house. And I was there in November, and she's like, good, you get to come by and stay in the new guest house. And it's a camper. So yeah, anyway.
They're really nice these days. They are.
Yeah. I was going to get one and live in it, but decided, I don't want to do that. So
yeah.
Envelope number 6, question number 1. In connecting with people, would you rather get a phone call or a text?
Well, connecting text is what came up. Text.
Yeah. I kind of like texting before I get the phone call. So, hey, are you available for a call first? So
yeah.
The second question here is, what are you afraid of most, snakes or spiders?
Snakes.
Snakes. Me too. No snakes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can crush a spider. Snakes are a little harder to crush.
Yeah.
Question number 3, holding papers together, staples or paper clip?
It depends. I use both.
Yeah.
Paperclip.
I don't even think I have paper clips anymore. Last envelope, number 5. Question number 1. When in the car, do you listen to podcast or music nowadays?
Not music. Yeah, podcasts or YouTube, people on YouTube. Yeah, anything that's gonna calm me or personal growth or
Cool.
something like that. Yeah.
I got through the pandemic. I started listening to podcasts and got hooked on Mike Rowe. He's got this one called The Way I Heard It. Of course, it's changed, but during the beginning of the pandemic, he was telling stories, almost like the old Paul Harvey type stories, and I loved it. And now he
Cool.
changed the format. So anyway, but question number 2, and here is high heels or boots.
Well, if it's winter, it's boots.
You know, I live in Texas, and what kind of boots we talking about, right?
Oh,
I had to do that to you. Question number 3 in this one here is, when you go to the movies, are you a popcorn person or candy?
Popcorn.
Popcorn, butter, salt, all that stuff onto it?
Yeah. Well, a little bit of salt. Yeah.
Okay.
But butter. Yeah. Not too much butter because sometimes they pile it on there and your stomach gets,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, one more time, repeat the website so both people on the audio as well as the video can hear and find out more about you.
True love after toxic love. True love after toxiclove.com.
Cool. All right. Well, I thank you for being on the show today and taking time out of your schedule to get to know me, get to know you, and my guests to get to know you. And I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
So
I appreciate that.
cool. To you, the listener, we want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Go check out Denise at trueloveaftertoxiclove.com. All right. And maybe take advantage of that challenge, that 3-day challenge coming up at the end of the month. All right. To see if it'll help you. I'm Tim Gillette with The Tim Gillette Show, and I'll be back real soon with another guest. In the meantime, guys, have a great day. Bye.